cozy cabin where Mike and I stayed the last week of February 2013. These are some of the natives of the land, just hanging out. Some were sleeping, some were sitting around thinking happy thoughts. We called our little trip the launch because Mike has been unemployed for 5 months and would begin a new job on March 4th. We had lots of conversations during those 5 months. We decided we wanted to take a few days for God to launch us into the last third of our lives, however many years that may be, and get His direction and blessing as He promised in Psalm 25. So we planned fun times and times to seek direction. Let's start with a fun time. Our very first date was ice skating over 30 years ago, and we had not been on the ice together since. My goal was simply to stay up on the blades, but Mike, oh my gosh, he hit the ice running. He twirled and skated backwards. He looked like he was practicing for the Olympics. I do wish I'd had a camera handy, however, when the show-off going top speed attempted a skid stop and landed sprawled on the ice. And I did get a little better with time, still having the goal of basically just to stay up. It was a lot of fun to skid around on a frozen pond in the middle of such beauty. We decided on day 2 to take a hike on a trail called Bible Point. We had no idea why it was called that. The trail looked pretty standard at first. But as we hiked higher, we were amazed to see the vistas of breathtaking peaks. Mike was so excited to see Notch Top, a peak that he and his friend Tom became familiar with last summer on their 3-day hiking adventure. We even saw a very large paw print, and since the bears are night-night, we concluded that it must be a big kitty cat. Glad we didn't meet up with him. The sights got more and more astounding as we climbed, and the swirling snow just added to their mystique. Then we reached the top of Bible Point and were surprised to see the gravestone of a young man who went to heaven at almost exactly the same age as our Bradley did. There was another plaque that explained that Edwin was the son of missionaries, and although he had traveled the world over, this very spot, then called Buena Vista, was his favorite in the whole world. We also found out why the peak was called Bible Point, because Edwin's parents had placed a mailbox at the pinnacle that Edwin loved with a Bible in it, and it is still there. Well, at least the replacement is still there. There's a spiral notebook and a pen in the box, and hikers write notes. It's fun to see their thoughts and impressions. This is the note I wrote with frozen fingers. Although Christy isn't mentioned, we thought much about our sweet girl in heaven as well. Mike and I had a prayer time, and we were so into it that we barely noticed the Arctic wind. We prayed about the launch, and although we talked just the day before about part of the launch is to have a mindset of God's coming kingdom, we knew that He had brought us to Bible Point to solidify that in our minds. Edwin died in a car accident while driving to his brother's wedding. So tragic. Yet just think of how many have since been drawn to thoughts of heaven and of the Creator through his death. Indeed, his favorite verse, Romans 8:28, is true. Boy, did it feel good to cozy by the fire in the lodge later that day. By the way, this is Samson. He used to be a regular around the lodge until a poacher shot him for no good reason. And now he graces the wall over the fire. Oh, and here's a relative of that cat that we were blessed not to meet on that mountain. Well, we had a cold, a fun, and a meaningful time in Estes Park. And I don't think we'll ever forget the launch.